Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being on the show. And thank you so much, Dr. Jonathan Lazar, for being on the show.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Oh, definitely. And again, to everybody out there, this is Edge on Regenerative Medicine Show, the place where we are focusing on health, health, health. Why? Because if you don't have your health, you don't have your wealth, bottom line. And we love having doctors on our show that can help you out. And our focus today is going to be talking about probably one of the most important parts of the body is basically the spine. And as you all know, our old saying is this: one video can change one person's life. So if you're not in pain, but you know somebody that is, share it on your wall. We don't know who we're reaching. So, we just want to let social media do its job and focusing on helping as many people as we can. And one of the cool things about Dr. Lazar, we've been talking, and is his story, how he got into being a doctor, and not just that, but talking about how the spine affects everything. And one of those things, before we even go there, we're going to let you all know, please take a look at drlazar.com. That's drlazar.com. The great things about Dr. Lazar, he is a radio host. He is an author. He's an educator. He's also a health trend expert. So again, thank you for being on the show, and tell us your story about how you got into being a doctor. Did you always want to be a doctor?
I did. Yeah. So thanks for having me. This is exciting. And thanks for all you're doing, as far as spreading the message of hope. We're hope dealers, man. That's what it is about. And so the fact that you're taking a part in that. I'm on this planet to help people fully realize and express their God-given potential. And so whether that's on a show like this, our radio show, through the book, teaching, take direct patient care, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. I coach other doctors as well, so that collectively we can help people reach their full God-given potential. I always wanted to be a doctor. And so, as a kid, I would, dress up, would put a stethoscope around my neck and think that, I just want to help people. My grandmother in 1995 was in a near fatal car accident. And I remember seeing the doctor wearing his lab coat walking down the hallway. And there was just like, if anybody was going to help my grandma, it was this guy. And I remember thinking, I want to be that light of hope to people. So yeah, I always wanted to be a doctor. And then in high school, my senior year in high school, I don't know if I should say this part or not.
Let it go.
The power team. You remember the power team? John Jacobs and the power team, those guys that would like bend.
Oh yeah, they would break the telephone books.
Phone books and yeah.
Those guys were
man.
Awesome.
Nuts, man. Those guys were at my church, and it was September of my senior year in high school. And it was a story about the woman pouring the oil on Jesus's feet. And that was everything she had. And I was so convicted because I was a worship leader in high school. So I gave God Sunday mornings. I gave him Sunday night. I gave him Wednesday night. I even gave him Thursday night to lead worship at a college ministry at a different church. Wow. And I started a Bible study in my high school. And so I gave him Friday mornings, and but I hadn't given him my career. And so there was like a part of my life, not on purpose. I just was like, I had a full ride scholarship to University of Michigan. I was going to go through what they called the Interflex program, which was undergrad in medical school and a fast track. And so my life was all planned out. And the question became just super clear in my heart. Can I have all of your life? And I was like, I think you have all my life. And it was like, well, I don't have your career. And I'm like, oh, shoot. Okay. Well, so I thought that meant I needed to become a minister. I thought I needed to be a vocational pastor. So I turned on my scholarship. I went to Bible school in Springfield, Missouri. And while I was there, incidentally, I came back home to guest speak at the Bible study I had started. And I went to do this Bible study. It was a pivotal moment. And my dad owns a successful engineering company, and my mom drove a Lexus at the time. And that's important to somebody as a freshman in college, by the way. Yeah. And so I went and did this, spoke at this Bible study. I drove her Lexus home because I had flown home from college to Michigan. And I pulled her Lexus back in the driveway and then got ready and went to work. And it was so clear over Christmas break, my freshman year in college, wait a minute, I can still be involved in ministry and do what my heart's desire is as a career and be a doctor. I didn't really want to be a pastor. I wanted to be a doctor, and so it was so cool. And I thought, how about I reach people where they are in pain physically?
Love it.
And maybe there are people that would never have stepped foot in a church. Maybe I need to be out there serving. And so I decided I was going to be a doctor, and that was going to be my ministry.
Love it. And so when you did that, was it like clear, or you just kind of had an idea that I might want to go this direction, or was it like you had no?
No, it was like, I was going back to my first love. It was like the Abraham and Isaac story where like I always wanted to be a doctor. That was not, wow. And so I said no to that out of obedience. But then when it was like, all right, sweet, good job, go ahead. Then I was like, boom, like I'm all in, man. Like I just was level 4, man, just jumping right in like crazy.
And how old were you when that happened?
I was a freshman in college when
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, most people don't even know till they're like 25, 26.
Oh, that's man, awesome. No time to waste, you know?
Yeah, it's funny. You know, I was a worship leader, still a worship leader, you know, once a worship leader, always a worship leader. And
True.
I thought I was going in that direction. And I was actually a tennis pro for many years and loved it. And then all of a sudden, I thought I was going to be a pastor and kind of get more in that role, even though I would say I'm more evangelistic.
Same.
You know, and that's okay. You know, I think, you know, it's all part of the body. But when I knew what I wanted to do, it was almost like I was kind of like that old saying, you kind of start going your own direction, then all of a sudden God starts directing your footsteps. Yeah. And that's exactly what happened. And it's funny, I've been working with doctors full time since 2008. And I just love it. You know, first I was just in the chiropractic, and then all of a sudden I'm learning neurology. I'm teaching at seminars. And then all of a sudden I'm like, you guys are awesome. and it's cool because people just think of a chiropractor as someone that just, you come in, you get adjusted, and you're good to go. And right. You and I know that's so far from the truth. I would say that's more old school, maybe 50s and 60s. But how would you say if you have people that are right now struggling with parts in their spine that is affecting other parts of their body, how would you say how important the spine not only affects the body, but how important people need to be getting checked up and being regular, going to chiropractors?
Yeah, I would love to answer that. I mean, there are a couple screening questions that I would ask anybody. Number one, you know, do you believe that the body is designed to be a living body is designed to be a self-healing, self-regulating organism? You know, of course, like, right. Yeah, if we cut our finger, that's gonna wow. Heal all by itself, right? But the second thing is, what system is responsible for that? That's really important. And the answer to that is the nervous system. According to Gray's Anatomy, the nervous system is the master controller of the body. It controls every organ, every tissue, every system, every gland, every cell of the body. And it allows that organism, that body, to respond to the outside environment. So before we get into, you know, chiropractic, because people think they know, you know, what that means, right? And they may be right, but they might also be drawing conclusions that are not accurate. And so if we can agree that the body's designed to heal and regulate, you know, that's how you've got 4 trillion red blood cells in your body for 120 days at a time. You don't have to think through that. The body just does it on its own. We're fearfully and wonderfully made. That's how it's designed to work. So something is controlling that regulation and that healing. And that something is the nervous system. It's the brain, the spinal cord, and the nerves. Well, that nervous system lives within the spine, and it exits through little holes of the spine like telephone wires or hoses. And when that spine gets out of alignment, it pinches and irritates those nerves. Now, here's kind of a cool, scary fact. We can only feel 9% of those nerves. So 99%. So 91% of what's going on at any time in your nervous system, you can't feel. Wow. So we're conditioned to make our healthcare decisions based on how we're feeling, right? Like, how do I feel? Oh, I feel good. I must be healthy. Well, you could have undetected breast cancer. You could have a cavity in your teeth. Just because you don't feel it doesn't mean it's not there. So your question is, you know, what do people do? First of all, you don't have to have pain to have your teeth checked You also don't have to have pain to have your spine checked.
Mhm.
And the problem is when that spine gets out of alignment, it affects the nervous system function, which then absolutely affects the body's ability to heal and regulate. So that's really the question is, do you want to heal and regulate at your absolute best? If the answer to that is yes, then you must be checking your spine and nervous system on a regular basis. When people understand that, then there's nothing, like we don't have to convince anybody ever to come in, or we don't have to convince anybody ever to stay, because they say, oh, wait a minute, my nervous system controls my immune system. Yep. Well, I want my immune system strong. I want my heart working. I want my lungs working.
Exactly.
I don't want my brain chemistry to be off. I don't want to deal with anxiety and depression anymore. I don't want to deal with cancer anymore. Or if I do, I want my nervous system strong. So it kind of changes the conversation. And then people say, well, shoot, I read my Bible even when stuff's not wrong. I exercise, not just because I don't want to be fat. So I need to be getting adjusted regularly. And that's what our community gets to experience.
Okay, well, when you say adjusted regularly, if I wanted, let's say I go to your clinic,
Yeah.
what would a regular adjustment be? Would that be once a month? Would it be twice a month?
It depends. Yeah, it depends on what's going on. So usually when somebody comes to see us at first, they're in some sort of crisis. Somebody could call and say, metaphorically speaking, my kitchen is leaking. I have water all over my floor. What makes us different with our assessment and our corrective care protocols is that we are the guys that go on the roof, and yes, we'll mop the water up off your kitchen floor so nobody gets hurt, but our job is not done there. We go on the roof, we rip the shingles off, we retar it, we lay the roof back down. Now, occasionally people will say, isn't that a little overkill? Like, I just was looking for somebody to mop this up. And we say to that, sure, there are people that will do that, but we have an ethical and moral obligation to, if we know that we can fix something, we have to at least tell you that we can fix it. So we have a completely different approach as far as we want to fix the problem first, if you want us to. And then once it's fixed, the braces can come off the teeth, so to speak, and then it's up to you whether you want a retainer. So we don't have set programs for anybody. Typically speaking, once it's fixed, once a month we'll keep somebody from going backwards. Twice a month we'll keep somebody moving forward. That's a good rule of thumb. If somebody doesn't want that, but they just want periodic checkups, we tell people, go get your spine checked when you get your teeth checked. So go to the dentist first. Having your mouth open will dislodge the upper neck. Anyway, so go to the dentist first and then come get your spine checked. So I don't think that's the best use of the care, but it certainly is available for people that want that.
You know, it's funny. I make sure that I see a chiropractor at least twice a month.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll even go in 3. And I've realized, and I'm getting older now, and I'm 43. And it's funny, I didn't really pay too much attention to my body to when I hit about 40s, to be honest with you, and which is sad. I started noticing just declining in energy, strength, my back a little bit because I work a lot at home, and what I realized was that I was getting a lot of headaches.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, it's the food I'm eating. Okay. But it was one of the things. But when I started getting adjusted regularly, I noticed my headaches were gone.
Absolutely.
Like, literally, I didn't have to go taking ibuprofen, which everyone knows, we don't need to preach, it's not good for you. It's not good for the stomach. It actually does internal bleeding.
More people died last year from NSAIDs, from nonsteroidal anti-inflammatories, last year than HIV and AIDS combined. But people think because it's over the counter, it's safe, and it's not.
There should be a ban on that, but that's another thing. But what's interesting, kind of jumping off of what you're saying, I try to tell people, look, it's like your vehicle. You have to get an oil change. You get it done every 30 to 60,000 miles. Everyone's different. Our body's like that, but we can't wait 30 to 60,000 miles. But if we want to be in optimal health,
right,
we need to make sure that we are seeing our doctors, getting adjusted, because you don't know, a lot of chiropractors like yourself, I might come to you and say, you know what, I have knee pain.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I have knee pain, it doesn't mean that's where the pain is. Yeah, it might be there, but it could be somewhere in the spine. It could be somewhere that's being clogged because
Right.
everything's about blood flow. And so I always encourage everybody, make sure you go, because you can find there's always, normally 90% of the time, it's not your knee or your back. It's because it's what's causing the back and what's causing the knee. So do you help people with like neuropathy and stuff like that, and people that have diabetes?
Yeah, we do. So the condition doesn't matter as much. And what I mean by that is it's important, but what I mean is this. We are healthcare experts. We are not sick care experts on our team. So there are a group of doctors, allopathic and osteopathic physicians so MDs and DOs, who have a phenomenal job. That I would parallel that with, if your house catches on fire,
Right.
you should call the fire department, right? They do a phenomenal job putting out the fire, right? But as soon as the fire is put out, you need restoration experts to come in.
Right.
So we don't claim to be disease care specialists. We're knowledgeable. I mean, chiropractic school is actually a 5.5-year program before any specialties after undergrad. So it's longer than medical school. So
Wow.
It's not that we don't know about diseases, but just like, I've been married 18 years this year. I want the best marriage I could ever have possibly. Like, I want to love my wife more than any guy has ever loved his wife ever. Right? So I have two options. I can go hang out with my buddy Tim, who's a divorce attorney, and I can say, Tim, tell me what to do, man. And he'll say, for what? And I'll say, I want to love Carrie better than any man's ever loved anyone. And he'll say, oh, well, if you don't want to get divorced, do these things. Don't beat her, don't cheat on her, and don't mess your money up. And I'll say, no, I don't think you understood the question. I'm not worried about getting divorced. I want to have the best marriage possible. You see where I'm going with this. Instead, I should hang out with a marriage counselor, or I should hang out with a couple who's been married 52 years, who still holds hands and kisses each other at night, and he still opens the door for her. That's what I want. So on your team, we miss 100% of what we're not looking for. If your team is a bunch of disease experts, which is important, but you only need their help when your house is on fire, what are you doing the rest of the time? And if you brush and floss your teeth, if you pull the weeds in your garden, if you do things proactively, if you change the oil, rotate your tires, exercise, pray, if you do those things, then you're a perfect candidate for chiropractic care, because people can see us when they have a condition that they know chiropractic can help with: headaches, neck pain, pain into the arms, legs, and feet, back pain. Those are things, hip pain, sciatic nerve pain. Those are things that people know, hey, a chiropractor could help me with that. That's only one group, though. There's another group of people who say, I have a major condition, but I wouldn't have really thought that chiropractic could help with that. That could be things like high blood pressure, anxiety, depression, ADHD, autism spectrum, fibromyalgia. There are some groups, and people go, oh, I wouldn't have thought of that, but my friend's sister's aunt got great results from a chiropractor, so maybe I should do that. The third group of people are people who want to prevent something bad from happening. I want to prevent that divorce. I want to prevent bad stuff from happening. So those are three groups of people that are playing defense with their health. But there's a fourth group of people who want to play offense on their health. And they're people who say, I'm not interested in avoiding bad stuff. I want to actually buy an insurance policy that will allow me to get on the floor with my grandkids when I'm 89. And I want to travel to Hawaii, and I want to go on mission trips, and I don't want my health to hold me back. Those are our wellness patients. And the cool thing is, you can be in any of those groups. It doesn't matter which group you're in, but it's important to know what's available for that.
Wow. Now, you were talking about that fourth group. Just curious, out of that fourth group, what would you say that you notice the ones that are probably the most serious that you've seen? Which age group would you say that is?
Mid-40s. They're crazy intentional. They run triathlons to raise money to dig wells in Africa. Wow. They are involved. They're the 20% that do the 80% of the work at church. They're constantly volunteering. They either and they prioritize what matters, and they're willing to swim upstream. So they either homeschool their kids, or they send their kids to private school, or if they send their kids to public school, they drive them because they're not comfortable with what goes on the bus. They monitor their kids' social media. Like, they work hard to get the results they want. They save their money. They've gone through Dave Ramsey's stuff. It's like this. It's definitely a profile of a person. It's amazing. I see it over and over and over again. You can pick them out a mile away.
Oh no, definitely. That's awesome. I was always kind of curious about that age bracket. I thought you were going to say late 50s, 60s. Huh.
No, there are plenty of those people. But I mean, Mark, if you went to the dentist for the first time in your mid 40s, the dentist is going to find an awful lot of stuff. And the dentist is not judgmentally, but the dentist is going to say, Mark, where have you been, man? Like, we got to do a lot of work now, which is okay. I mean, that's okay. But do you know what would have happened? Can I tell you a story about somebody? So Shayna's mom called my office. This was several years ago. Her mom called my office and said that Shayna she was 17 years old, and said when she was a kid, she had a neurological condition where part of her brain was coming down out of her skull. And they caught it. They did surgery on it. She woke up from the surgery with this horrific migraine headache, which apparently is normal. And then they said, it'll go away. Well, that's when Shayna was 7 years old when they found this. So 10 years later, Shayna still has that migraine headache. So not headaches over the years, but a headache that did not go away for 10 years.
Wow.
She had tried everything. She had dropped out of school. She had been through hypnotherapy, and she had done acupuncture. She had taken every drug you can take, legal and not legal. I mean, she had done everything you could do. Somehow, I mean, I don't know, her mom, they live 2.5 hours away. Her mom heard from 3 people that she needed to bring Shayna in, because we're a specialty office. We do work at the level of the brainstem, which is super important. So she came in, she gets her assessment. She gets adjusted on a Friday. On Monday, the phone rings, and my team came back and got me, which is pretty rare because they'll take a message and I'll get back. They said, you better take the call. Her mom, Jennifer, was on the phone, and she was crying hysterically. I mean, that where you can't really talk. So yeah. I got on the phone. I thought she died or something. I didn't know I don't know why she was crying so hard. And she said to me when she finally got it out, Shayna hasn't had a headache in 3 days. It was the first time she had experienced that kind of relief.
What did you do?
I did our assessment. I did a gentle adjustment up here by the ears where it feels like having your pulse taken. It's like cutting a key to your front door. We don't have to kick it down when we do the assessment we do. So, but here's the thing. Here's my point in sharing that story. Shayna got back to high school, graduated, went to college, went to chiropractic school, and now practices chiropractic in Northern California. Like, she's changing lives because she got her life changed. But here's the thing. Great story, right? Like, amazing story. That's the way the body works. It's the miracle of creation. It's wonderful. Here's what sucks about it.
No.
She can't get those 10 years back.
Oh, okay.
You follow? So, yes. Was it miraculous? Yes. Is her life totally different? Are thousands of lives different because of her reach now? Yes. But she'll never get those 10 years back. And that's why we go crazy getting the message out there. Why the heck would you wait? If you wait for the heart attack symptoms, it's too late. If you wait for the lump to show up, it's too late. Why are we conditioned to think we're going to only take action once, I'm only going to go to that marriage counselor once the divorce papers show up? What the heck? We could have a much more fulfilled life if we switch our focus and start playing offense on this. Sorry, I get a little passionate. I apologize. I'm not yelling at anybody.
I love it, by the way. Let it go. I'm waiting for the rain and the thunder to come together. That's awesome. So I know we're not talking about migraines, but I mean, I brought it up because that's something that I used to struggle with all the time. It didn't help that I was eating MSG, hot Cheetos and, McDonald's every once in a while. And I saw that my eating pattern was actually killing my body slowly.
Sure.
And as I got older is when it started to affect me more. And when my migraine started to go away, I was just like, hallelujah. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm at church now, because I didn't realize that being adjusted right up in here and then also below, it literally just, I was able to breathe. And it's very interesting that you're saying how that she lost those 10 years. But the beautiful part is you were part of that for her to not lose another 10 years, you know. And it kind of goes with your calling, you know. You're still kind of doing the calling that you wanted to, but in a different direction.
Sure.
You know, but I have one question. I just got an instant message from somebody, and they said, talking about back on the spine, how does it affect our stress response?
Yeah, huge. That's okay. That is the question, $64,000 question. First of all, stress is not a bad thing. Everybody thinks I want no stress. I want to de-stress. No, I don't think you do, because no stress means you're dead. So we can have positive or negative stress. The thing is that the nervous system is the stress response system. It's the first responder to that stress. So if we think about the Titanic that sank, the rich people got on the lifeboats and went to safety. Then the lifeboats came back, and everybody else that had been in the water, half of the people survived for those lifeboats to come back, and half did not. And the difference between those people, we have to ask why. And I don't mean they could swim and some couldn't, and I don't mean that. I'm saying the difference is the people that survived, their body was able to adapt to the cold water. Our adaptive response, our general adaptive potential, is literally what determines how we're going to respond to life. So, and we actually have a way to measure that. We have technology in our office that measures that. So if somebody on that test gets a score below 70 and they're in the military, I'll write that they can't deploy into a combat zone, because a score of less than 70 on our heart rate variability score means they'll come back with post-traumatic stress disorder over 90% of the time. So it's no different. I'm not good with finances yet, but like if there's a cash flow projection, it's kind of the same thing with your body. So if we look at our health like money, because health can be a non-physical thing as well.
Sure.
If you've got $10,000 in your savings account and you need a new roof that's going to cost $5,000, or a roof repair that's going to cost $5,000, you're going to be okay. Right? Because you have the reserves. Your nervous system can either help you run from a bear or help you grow, heal, and thrive. It does both, but never at the same time.
Right.
So we monitor and encourage everybody to have theirs monitored on a regular basis, because that nervous system is what responds to stress. So if your nervous system is stuck in fight or flight, in survival, in defense physiology, if you're running from a bear, even though a bear is not chasing you, you can't be in growth and survival at the same time. And so we monitor that and say, hey, wait a minute, you're stuck in survival. Now, times like right now, it's probably appropriate. But when you're tucking your kids in at night and you're you're blessing them and you're smelling their shampoo as you're giving them a kiss on the head, and life's supposed to be amazing, but your body still thinks a bear is chasing it, that's a problem. And then your immune system goes down, your connectivity to people goes down, your spiritual walk everything goes down. And so our job as human potential specialists is to say, hey, let's reset that. Let's let your body work the way it was designed to work. And then when a bear is chasing you, run. When it's not, grow, thrive, that sort of thing. And that ultimately, I mean, that is what my job is.
Well, I love the analogy about the bear, but you said run, you didn't mention fight.
You can fight if you have to.
Yeah, if you want to, may the Lord be with you. But now on the stress part, I know you were saying there's good stress and bad stress. So what I'm hearing you say, please correct me if I'm wrong, is that the way that you think can not only affect your body, but it can affect everything else surrounding you.
100%. So the three different types of stressors that the nervous system has to interpret are physical. So if you have birth trauma, if you have a car accident, you get, in a I don't know, a sports accident. Those would be negative physical stressors. Positive would be exercise, stretching, those sort of things. It can be chemical, so you can be exposed to things. Positive would be, supplementation, healthy diet. Negative would be pesticides or viruses, or
Right.
we're exposed to or medications. We're exposed to things all the time. And then the third thing is emotional. So yes, absolutely. I mean, have you ever been stressed out? Nobody's touched you, but you've been stressed out, frustrated, angry, and your palms got sweaty and your pupils dilated and your mouth got dry and your stomach started to feel kind of queasy.
Yeah.
Right? You didn't go see a doctor for that.
No.
But because there was a perceived threat. It wasn't, nobody touched you when that happened. It's real. It does affect your body. But when we're in that stress response, our immune system goes down. The hormones that help us feel more pain to know if a snake bit us or something like that, those go up. And so now we're lethargic, stressed, exhausted, in a lot of pain. Does that sound like, a few Americans?
You can't eat.
Right.
You want to go to sleep.
Right. So that's the thing. That's the, yes, the mind plays a huge role in that. And so it doesn't mean it's all in your head. What we're saying is it's thoughts, it's traumas, it's toxins, and it's any combination of those. So while we can't necessarily do anything about the thoughts, as like, I can't change your thoughts for you. I can't change your traumas for you. I can't change your toxins for you. What I can do is make it so that your nervous system is as adaptable as possible. And now 6 p.m. doesn't feel like midnight anymore. The bear's not really chasing you, and life starts to look totally different. And now you're equipped to go do what you've been called to do, and your health isn't what's holding you back anymore.
Wow, that's amazing. So since we're on this topic, I want to ask you a question. We live in some fantastic times and some really scary time right now, because a lot of the newer generation hasn't been through with what's going on. I would say the millennials. I know that this is going to impact a lot of the millennials, and they'll never be the same after this, blows over.
Sure.
What would you say to help these people that are living in this type of fear right now, and it's affecting their body at the same time? They don't realize that they're affecting their own body because of your emotionalism. What could you say to help out with that?
Yeah, well, it's real. So that's one thing. I would say when things are up, they're never really as good as we think they are. And when things are down, they're never really as bad as we think they are. Are people dying? Yes, they are. But there are tons of people recovering. Are people sick? Yes, but there are tons of people that are healthy. Is the economy being affected? Well, the markets are, but I can tell you healthcare is alive and well. I can tell you online business. I mean, Zoom's stock doubled. We're on a Zoom call right now. Their stock doubled. So it's not all bad. It's never all good or all bad. It's usually there's some of both. And so if we have, two wolves, right? We've heard this before. And one is like a pet and loving and cuddly, and the other is mangy and has rabies and is mean. And you only have enough food for one. Which one's going to survive? Well, the one you feed. And so Philippians 4:8 says, whatever is noble, whatever is good, whatever is lovely, whatever is right, whatever is just, whatever is pure, think on these things. And it's not because the other things don't exist. But I ask patients this all the time. Do this test with us. How many of you listening or watching this have test driven a car in the last year? And I'll call somebody out and they'll say, I test drove a black on black Jeep Grand Cherokee with a towing package. And okay, wonderful. How many black Jeep Grand Cherokees did you notice the week following that test drive? And the answer is a lot more. And statistically, there weren't more black Jeep Grand Cherokees, but their awareness of those things were higher. And so if the Bible is true, and it says, as a man thinketh, so is he. So if that's true, whatever we think about, we bring about. And so if we're going to, so whatever you're going to focus on will grow.
what you think is what you become.
Sure.
It's huge. It's funny that you mentioned that. And there was another analogy I remember I was saying years ago, to try to help people focus. I would say, all right, I want you to sit down in my office at the time. And I go, I want you to count how many times you see purple in the room.
Yep.
And I let them alone for about 4 minutes, came back in, and they're like, man, I counted over 100. Man, you love purple. And what was interesting, I go, that's it. What you're focusing on is what you start to really think about laser. So I tell people, it's like this. When Tiger Woods, when he was winning everything, and then all of a sudden he started losing because he started going through a mind slump.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff was going on in his life.
Good
and
point.
They asked him, how did you get back on top? He goes, I just pivoted what I was doing just a little bit. And it's so interesting. That's all we have to do.
Yeah.
So if you're struggling in your mind, just a small little pivot. Think on other things.
Yeah.
I always think on things that make me happy. Like I'm a little different cat. I'll start playing a Tower of Power,
Nice.
like in the Sunshine Band. I go way back. I like music that's really uppity. Change the atmosphere in the room. Music
Sure.
does that.
Yeah,
And
it does.
it's so interesting that I think if people were to catch that, yes, we're not saying that music is going to heal your sciatica or heal your neuropathy, but my point is that you want to change your mindset, and that's very, very huge. And I love what you do. You're that testimonial of just the headache for 10 years. So people out there, I just want to let you know, this person had a headache for 10 years. Not just a headache where it just came on, a continual headache, did not go away. If anybody's out there struggling with a headache, that person drove, I think, 2.5 hours. See Dr. Lazar. He does more than that. We're just talking about the spine and then getting on the headache. So I just want to tell everyone, go to drlazar.com. It's drlazar.com. We have the phone number on the screen. Give them a phone call. And also, before we get off, I got to talk about this. I know you're an author, but what is your latest book and what is it about?
Yeah, it's called Live Life Well, Unlocking the Secrets to Living Your Best Life. And it's about how we spend our lives chasing success, fame, fortune, significance, whatever it is we're chasing, but we ignore our health along the way. And then if we do it that way, then we spend the rest of our lives when it's time, now it's time to retire, and we've saved up all this money, hopefully. Although that's how it used to be, maybe not so much anymore, but we've saved up all this money and now we're ready to start living life, but we don't have our health and we can't do it. So it's things that experts do. It's kind of the incomplete guide to how you can live a healthy life. And it talks about the upper cervical care that we do, how to combat gravity. It talks about laser therapy. Next version of it will talk about blood flow, because we have a microcirculation device now that we've started to incorporate, which is helping. So our adjustments help the nerve flow. The microcirculation device helps the blood flow. We've got laser that helps cellular repair, and it's cool. So that's what the book's about.
What I'll do is there a link or is there a website that we can go to purchase that if anybody wants to purchase that book?
Right from my website. Yeah, there will be a click through there about purchasing it, or you can go right on the website. You can go into store and there's a link for the book in there.
Okay, awesome. So everyone make sure you go to drlazar.com and click on store, get that great book. And what's interesting about you saying that before we go, I love this, is that there's a lot of people that are saving up their money, and they're just working their bodies to death, literally, because they're not taking care of it. They're not doing supplements. They're not working out. They're not eating right. The sad part is by the time they get all that money, now they're using all that money to restore their health.
Right.
That's the sad part, but other than that, I just want to say thank you so much, Dr. Lazar, for being on the show. This for me, it was a blessing. It's awesome to be with like-minded people. It's very rare nowadays. And again, I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. And everybody go to drlazar.com, check them out. And God bless you all. And God bless you, Doctor.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks for all you're doing.